Alright, www.survival ebooks is where I got this from. They're free books. Alright, Subcourse OD1653, Edition 7, Metal Body Repair, Army Institute Professional Development. Alright, U.S. Army Repair Shop Technician Warrant Officer Advanced Course Mod Skill Level 441A, Metal Body Repair Subcourse OD1653, 7 credit hours. Lesson 1. Operation required to repair damaged vehicles and components. Describe operations required to repair damaged vehicles and components. Lesson 2. Operations required with glass, radiator, fuel tank repair. Describe operations required with the proper glass repair. Describe operations required for proper radiator repair. Describe operations required for proper fuel tank repair. And then the table of contents. Student notes. Alright, lesson 1. Operation required with the repair damaged vehicles and components. Task 1. Describe the operation required with the repair damaged vehicle with components, conditions with a self-study environment. Give the subcourse text without assistance. References, no supplementary reference are needed for this task. Introduction. In order to replace or repair damaged section of the auto body, the technician must begin with throughout the understanding of how the vehicle was constructed. The major elements of the auto body construction are therefore discussed first in the lesson. Although the construction of the auto body may be complete with a conscientious study with a sincere desire to learn more major principles that may be acquired quickly. Without clear understanding of the basic vehicle construction assembly, it would be very difficult to follow the correct repair procedure for work and properly done because of the lack of the knowledge about vehicle construction result. Unsafe conditions endanger the lives of the drivers and their passenger vehicle. Body construction, the broader topic, cannot be treated exhaustively unless the mechanic who plans to do major collision repair. Work should also study with the body of the construction diagram with a manual published with the leading of the auto manufacturers. But some study plus repeated examination of actual vehicles and best score of the following, gaining of the throughout familiarity with the vehicle and construction principle. The successful auto body technician, like some of the do mechanical work, has the ability to plan step by step of each of the job through completion. Seldom are two of the jobs the same. The technician should be creative with the demanding of the work and procedure because of the outer panels are shaped to relate the total design of the vehicle. The technician must also have the artistic appreciation for the work. Pride in work very important in the field where a slight imperfection can ruin a whole job. Typically, with the technician begin with the removal of the trim component of the body, hardware, and accessory in order to gain access to the damaged metal by the process called bumping, usually dolly blocks and special hammers. If the damage is more extreme, hydraulic jacking equipment may be used to align the damaged area. Tiny nicks and dents are usually removed with the special pick tools. Each damaged vehicle presents a special repair problem because of any of the kinds of the damage which may occur. The technician seldom works at one particular job with a great length of the time. He or she is expected to do skillfully in many widely different areas of the work to have the ability to see the entire job through the completion. In order to successful, the technician should have a good understanding of vehicle construction, see how and why the parts fit together to form the total vehicle body. Pride and workmanship is very important. Failure to do the quality and work at any point during the repair may cause great problems later on. 2. Body framing construction. Body construction. Bodies and passenger cars and trucks and bodies differ with a great deal with the construction because of the different purposes of which they are intended. However, there is an inner and outer construction. Outer construction is considered the portion of panels or panels which visible over the outside of the vehicle, include the inner construction of all braces, brackets, and panels, etc., that are used to straighten the vehicle body. General assumption of the inner construction cannot be seen with the outside of the vehicle. The body construction. Main body construction is shown in Figure 1 with a cow dash panel with assembly with the front end of the body with usually the form of the assembling servo smaller panels. They are cowl upper panel and cowl extends upward into the entire windshield with the opening of the upper edge of the cowl panel through from the front edge of the roof panel. Windshield pallet pilers are part of the cowl panel. They are narrow sloping construction either side of the windshield opening. The cowl is sometimes referred to as the firewall. The instrument panel is usually considered part of the cowl panel. Alright, looking in the car, you have the hood assembly, front fender, cowl hidden panel, rocker panel, rear end panel, out quarter panel, deck lid, rear compartment lid assembly, roof rail, roof panel, windshield wiper piler. Show the body hinge, pillar, dash panel, and the radiator core support panel, skirt, and apron. 3. The roof panel. Some of the roof panel is one of the largest body with a panel, but they also have the simplest construction, usually with a roof with a one-piece steel construction. Some Army combat type wheel vehicles have the canvas top. Floor panel assembly. Floor panel assembly is several of the panels welded together, secured one over another, bolts to form in one single unit, is shown in Figure 2. Most floor pans are irregular with a shape and they are intended to be formed into bends that give strength to the entire floor structure. Shows a floor pan assembly. Alright, rear quarter panel. Rear quarter panel is an integral part of the fender of the rear quarter panel. Has both the inner and outer construction. Outer panel is smooth except for the brakes of the cup of the design vehicle. With the inner construction of the rear quarter panel is made up of the many strong reinforcement bracket welds that are welded together to form a single unit. Alright, your doors are composed of two main panels, outer and inner. Both panels are normally of all steel construction. Door derived must be of the strength from the inner panel. The inner panel acts with the frame of the door is made with the offset of the hole of the attachment of the inner door hardware. The outer panel flanges over the inner panel edges to form the single unit. Also provides opening with the which for the outside where the handles protrude. In some instances, a separate opening is provided for the lock. 7. The deck lid. The deck lid is another panel. The deck lid is another door that allows to access to the luggage compartment. The consistent outer and inner panel with these panels are spot welded together along with the flange edge of the single unit. Your frame construction. Understanding of the construction of the frame is extremely important since the foundation of the vehicle is built with the frames are all types of fit all conditions described illustrated in this section. Frames are constructed with a channel stock, I-beam, angle, and T-stock, Z-stock, tubing, flat bars, combination of any two or more of these stocks. Frames are usually wider than the rear and than the front. This permits stronger turning radius, allowing more room from the front wheels. Also allows more space and support a load carrying at the rear of the heaviest cost member is usually mounted in the front portion of the engine. So that Figure 3 shows a passenger car frame. Your typical passenger car frame shown in Figure 3 on the previous page that is a form of the X member in the center for the reason that it is referred to as an X-type frame. You can also see from the illustration which is meant for the term drop the connection with the frame. Their main part is center frame with a drop down between the front and the rear wheels. Repair with the used body and frames basically with the same repair with the separate body and frame types. Alright, 3. Metal repair. Proceed with the straighten when the squaring operations apply with include with a hydraulic jack out of their equipment. I'll avoid concentration stress with the one spot. I'll use blocks and plate with the wood metal in order to distribute the force. Avoid use of flames, welding, and the repair if possible. Do not apply excessive heat to the main frame. Members and annealing and loss of strength by may result most collision damage required with the use of the jacks, bump blocks, and irons to reshape the damaged panel with the gag with the original form. Usually it is uneconomical to repair the body with the sustained damage for the main structural members served as the collapse of the box section members. 4. Surface of the weld with the free of the dirt and prevent contamination of the weld. Use the wire brush grinding wheel with the remove of the rust and paint and undercoating. All repair welding will be done by electrical arc process if possible. It is suggested low hydrogen electric 3/32 of an inch diameter used. Depending upon the individual conditions, spot welds may be repaired by drilling out and plug and puddle and skip weld, continuous weld, or an arc bead, or a fillet may be laid along the panel at the point. 6. If the quarter-inch crown dimensions are exceeded, cross member must be straightened. Removal of the engine necessary straighten cannot be accomplished with the use of the C-clamps, hydraulic body jacks, and attachments. Heat should not be applied to aid straightening process. With the exemption of light vehicles, commercial vehicle frames are usually built flat. Light commercial vehicles are usually built on a passenger car frame. Other slightly stronger adaptation of the passenger car frame, large truck, and bus frames are made with a flat without any of the droppings, since the flat floor from the cargo of the passenger carrying space highly desirable. Low center of gravity of it is not important in consideration commercial vehicle as it is with the passenger cars. Your separate parts of automobile truck frames riveted together. The rivets are used because of the structural strength of their ability to give the road condition. Before attempting to repair any frame, it is important to make an inspection to determine what and any of the damage of the frame and misalignment exists. Frame members often lose part of the original strength during a straightening process as a result of the heating of the stuff of the work or the bringing back into alignment. It is possible that some frames' inherent weakness truck operations may result in the shock loads from manufacturer not anticipated. Figure 4 shows a cargo shop or tanker. Alright, 9. In the case of the frame, we'll have the reunion for additional information repair of the frames consult with the technical bulletin 9-2300 247-40. Figure 4 on previous page, military truck chassis, which is a standard frame with a cargo body, shop van body, tanker, and repair van body of the 2.5 and the 6x6 truck. Metal body trim hardware. General, the vehicle body with a window opening with the unit slightly with a view from the inside of the main have the decorative trim with the give them finish appearing with the vehicle body trims, finishes, touches are put on the outside as well with the inside of the car with either trim or the hardware. On sedans, in addition with the providing eye appeal with some of the trim and the function as well with the decorative contributes for the comfort over the convenience of the passenger. Trim moldings, floor mats, armrests, headlinings, door trim, pads, and weather stripping are known as trim. Hardware, door handles, window regulator, handles, locks, window regulators, latches, hinges, seat adjustments are known as hardware. Grills. Grills are sometimes referred to as trim that should make with a large single unit of the trim. Grills are usually made with several pieces of steel with the fastened together with the nuts and bolts by welding. In some cases, grills are made with a cast aluminum, white metal, alloy, stainless steel stampings. On combat type vehicle, the grill is referred to as the brush car. The grill is a 3/4 ton and over is made with a low carbon steel stock welded in place to form one single unit. The 1/4 ton vehicle grill is one piece steel stamp bolted in place. Grills are usually fastened in place bolts attached in front of the fenders, and brackets and supports are also provided which anchor it to the frame. Grills are also fabricated in fiberglass laminated materials. Molding. Passenger car moldings are usually free of both inside and outside molding differs in types and styles. Depending on their use, moldings are secured in place with the retainer screws and special clips, except for the moldings used around windshield and rear wheels. Windows are held in place entirely by screws. 3. Combat type vehicles have very little with any of the outside moldings that attractive appearance with the main desire with the combat type of the vehicle. The camouflage is often necessary but during combat. If the vehicle is cluttered with the moldings that are shining in the sunlight, true positions could be revealed. General weather strips secure the windshield glass of the vehicle with the channel of the vehicle, the outside revealing molding with a chrome strip of the outside of the vehicle around the windshield glass. The reveal molding helps to place held in place by its own spring back after inserted into the weather strip. The inside garnish molding fits inside of the vehicle around the windshield glass. The window openings and fastened in place with the window shield metal screws around another arrangement of the windshield insulation is shown in Figure 5. R5 windshield combat type vehicles normally held together by a metal frame, sheet metal machine screws, and then are attached to the body hinges and brackets. Figure 5 shows a cross-section windshield windshield weather stripping and molding. You have your weather strip and cement, and then your glass, windshield rubber weather strip, auto body sealer. Alright, moldings are around the rear of the windows, usually installed with the same manner with the windshield. Both 4 moldings can be removed. It is necessary to break the seal between the weather strip and the body, but this can be done easily with inserting a thin knife blade between the weather strip and the body, then running it along the length of the molding. Combat type vehicles do not use garnish molding. The door usually has one piece construction. The door glass has sheet metal frame that goes around to the entire unit with a screw of the lower glass channel with the machine screws. Handles. On some makes and sedans, the lock of the front door is constructed integrally with the door handle push button. On other makes and locking mechanisms separate from the handle, separate opening of the door panels provide with the lock to be installed. Outside door handles extend through the outer panel with the inner panel with linkage is connected to operate with the latchet machine mechanism. Door handles are fastened in place with the means of machine screw through the inner panel. Combat type vehicles outside of the door handles are fastened in place by 2 screws which are screwed onto the outside of the door panel. Inside door handles are held in place push-fit pin that is concealed under esquatchian when it is placed. Internal springs allows the esquatchian to be pressed for access with the retaining pin. Another type of door handle, which is used with some of the vehicles, has an integral handle that is esquatchian held in place with a spring retainer and horse clip. If it's necessary, a spare repair of the thin nose pliers, a flat tool made with the type of the retaining pin with the remove of the pins before handle can be removed. Alright, G, door trim pads. The sedan door trim pads are concealed with the lower portion of the inside panel over the door. The pads are usually prefabricated assembled the door as one unit that held in place by sheet metal screws, various types of spring clips. Combat type vehicle doors are made in one piece that only one opening of the door loading hole is covered with a piece of sheet metal that is secured in place with a sheet metal screws. Alright, 4. Metal body tools. Hammering. The dinging hammer, A. Figure 6. In general purpose for the hammer, use any body panel with a 1/3 of an inch and square face, and 1/9/16 of an inch round face made of the drop forged angle of which has been beat treated. A is the digging, B is a pick, C is a taper shank, D is a roughing, E is a wood mallet, F is an offset cross beam. Or your pick hammer B, figure 6 of the previous bang with a painted shank on the hammer is raised a small and low spot with the cross filling. It also has 1/9/16 round face, curved shank tapering into a point. The bullet type of the pickup of the hammer not shown is designed for use on all industrial metal finishing general dinging work. Taper shank hammer. C. Designing the latest model body of the fenders are usually reshaping all beads, models, moldings, headlight inserts, and reveals louvers and wide chisel faces for rapid picking surfaces in large area. R4, your roughing hammer. D is curved shank reaches place if it's not accessible. The hammer is ordinarily designed round face, ideal for the working in extra heavy gauge metal. Wooden mallet. E is for useful connection of hot metal, shrinking with the dinging soft metal with aluminum, copper, and brass. It will not chip under ordinary usage. Alright, 6, offset cross-screen hammer. F, the offset square face affords ample clearance without danger striking the joining panels. Its high crown cross peen design deeper and narrow panels return to the contour of the high crown may also be conjunction with shrinking dolly to the cold shrink panels and sinking welds. Alright, dollies. The heel dolly, figure A7A of the following page is shaped like a heel of the shoe, round and face one side, flat on the other. It may be used for the general purpose dolly. High crown, general purpose dolly. B, precision grounding for high crown contours used for the general body repair. This tool is made from the drop forged alloy steel. Low crown dolly. C, used for all low crown panels. Hooks on dollies used for the fender benders, fender beads, drip molding, sharp and concave molding. 4, shrink dolly. D is a special design combination, high and low crown dolly. 9, distinct contour combinations for hot. Cold shrinking is wide range, narrow trenching grooves and sinking weld. And then 5, heavy duty rough dolling, figure 7A with a convenient grip with a greater height, furnishing extra bank with a heavy duty hammering, and may be placed in a rubber roughing hammer for roughing out small dents to the lip end of the face and reasonable reshaping and turn under the flanges. A is a heel, B is a general purpose, C is a low crown, D is a shrinking, E is a roughing. Are your drip molding pliers? These are accurately formed working face, permanent, extreme, rapid roughing out of the finishing with suitable spoon. Made of drop forged steel and indispensable pulling out of the crushed dripping moldings. Your body spoons. Body spoons are generally used for driving the high spots back to the normal position without distributing the surface of the surrounding surface of the working surface. Each spoon is designed a specific purpose. More common varieties of spoons are following. The cowl bracket, figure 8, designed especially to hook over the fender brackets to use for the working cowl strainers. Cowl brackets from post dash, either high or low crown surfaces may be used as a dolly so the wheel can be kept at the reach when reaching a dent. Figure 8 shows the type of the body fender spoons. You have A, the cowl body, double lower and quarter panel spoon. C, the surfacing spoons. D, driving spoon. E, caulking iron. D, double-ended door side panel spoon. G, door side panel spoon. Alright, 2, the double-ended low quarter panel spoon used for removing the dents and quarter panels around the rear pilers behind the inner construction behind back panel strainers. May be used to remove the dents from behind sills. C, surfacing spoon. Figure 8 on the previous page. Used for the spring hammer operation, either the mallet with a bumping hammer and surfacing finishing, usually fender repairs on high crown areas. Double and ended heavy duty driving spoon. The general purpose of the utility spoon vary widely variety uses. Used to set inside seams, front henders, bumping top rail panels, headlamp housing, hood levers, straightening, finishing, draping, molding, back panels. May be used for general beading work, lighting hinge pins, raising low spots for workaround ventilator with a cowl assembly. Or your caulking iron. Caulking iron sometimes called a fender beading tool. Special design double-ended heavy-duty beading tool with a straightening all reverse bead of the fenders with no wire underturned and flange edges. Must be returned to flanges on or hoods and alignment with the inner construction of the wood body panels. Hammer panels provide a basic hammer operation. Alright, 6. Your double-ended door side panel spoon. In precision good round face 6, it's used for the dually block, the direct hammering designed to reach the hard-to-get places in the construction of the doors and cowl panels. 7. The special door and side panel spoons, usually the length of the spoon, together with the shape of the enables the workman to reach far beyond with the construction, remove bumps from the doors and trunk lids without cutting out the inner construction. Alright, E, file border and blade. Adjustable file border. Too quickly with adjust for the extreme concave, the extreme convex profile with the maximum utility following the wide variety with the contours, round, oval, corners, upper and lower bracket, panels, cowls, hoods, top rear panels, used with the flat work and high, low crowns on a sweep surface. Vixen file blade. The blade is detached from a holder and is different from any other type of file. The blades are accurately machined under unbroken cutting, easy about 1/8 of an inch. You're apart. By each cutting edge with the curve of the cutting edge of the convex side of the blade is cutting edge on each side with the teeth running in the opposite directions of each other to allow the blade to be turned over when one side becomes dull and unusable. Maple solder paddle. Paddle is made of maple wood because it does not split easily. As other words, it uses the shape of the hot solder to the desired shape. It is used the motor oil, beeswax, and tallow to prevent hot solder from sticking to the face of the paddle. Alright, 5. Your metal body equipment. Hydraulic body jack, figure 9, following page. Type. The different direct acting jack with the type of the jacks has a power unit hydraulic pump integral where the ram action maybe only one direction, may work in either direction, push or pull. Remote control jack. In this type of the jack, the hydraulic power supply is separated from the ram unit of the jack, and the two units are connected with a reinforced rubber hose. 2. Remote control jack components. Pump. Figure 9. In hand operated with all the control units of the pump also serve with the reservoir with a hydraulic oil. The oil level should be periodically checked. B. The ram. V. Threads of the ram are attached to other jacket attaches. The jacket is used with the attachment thread protector must be used with the top of the ram body. C. Flexible rubber head. K. The two-size rubber head suit and most of the body needs. Rubber heads are generally used with a dry painted surface because they will not slip and mat. The surface of these heads should not be used in or near oiled surfaces as they can slip and cause further damage. Internal threads are provided for other jacket attachments. And then it shows the hydraulic body jack attachments. D. Chain pull plate. E. Figure 9. The plate is used for the most pulling with the operational plate is internal threads of the slot with the both sides for securing chains attaching to the ram body. Your slip lock extension F. The figure 9 with the previous blade of the tool gives 6 inches proper adjustment with the pushing out of a large area to double the friction with the lock hole secure with the desired length with adjusted with the convenient double trigger release. Rocker spoon G. Figure 9. A special design with the body work with a head with looked in place with a high hexagon pen. It may be set with the many with a different position selection of the spoon position with governed by the curvature of the body dent and the body bend and the dent allow a small amount working space. G. Spreading wedge. H. This tool is used for forcing out cut out large, small concave areas that can be closed with 1 inch and open in 3 inches. B. Electric disc sander. This sander may be used to remove the paint with a reveal low spot shape of the contours area of the build with the side of the down with the welds and remove the excess side, remove the rust, remove the deep scratches with using fine abrasive sanding disc. It may be equipped with a flexible grinding wheel to serve with a grinder on a thick section of metal. 1. Backing plate. The grinder of the disc must be placed directly on the slight flexible backing plate with the hard rubber. The plastic can be used with the backing plate. If 9-inch sanding disc is used, this should have a 7-inch backing plate. 7-inch backing plate will allow the 9-inch sanding disc outer edges to be cut down when it has become worn, increasing the disc life. The sanding disc are secured in place with a flat plate nut and then secured onto the motor drive shaft. Permits easy installation removal of the plate nut when changing torn or worn out disc. 2. Your scanning disc. The coat abrasive disc cuts out cutting selection of the rubber right grit containing each job of the is important. 5 different materials commonly used for the manufacturing abrasives. 3 of these are garnet, fillet, and emery, the natural mineral abrasives, and the other 2 are aluminum oxide, silicon carbide. Garnet is a semi-precious jewel that is most important with the natural minerals. Emery and flint break does easily and are better suited for household usually than industry. For dry sanding, high quality high glues are used with anchoring abrasive grains to the disc backing. For wet sanding, resins are used for bonding agent. Coat abrasive falls into two additional classifications based on how widely machined minerals or space minerals are close together, they're referred to as close coat. The minerals that are wide space is referred to as an open coat. Close coat abrasives are applied with such quantity that completely cover the backing. Open coat abrasives applied to cover the 50 to 75% of the backing. The opening coating provides the increased viability with a good cutting with a speed under light pressure. Open cutting abrasives are used where the surface is being grounded in such a nature that closely spaced abrasive minerals would be rapidly filled up in such sanding point that our wood follows in with a suggested use of 3 or more common discs. The number 24 disc is coated with a coarse opening abrasive that may be used with reasonable caution to prevent making deep scratches into the surface of the disc. Is more generally used with a rough sanding surface that has been painted. Same sand unit and small volume sparks is noticed with the coming of it from beneath the disc, which will appear on stopping disc. 2. The closed and the coating number 36 disc is used for several purposes in the body of the shop, but most generally from removing the welds and blade of the body with the filing of the revealing the high and low spots of the bumping operation. Closed cutting number 50 disc is only one of the function performing the finishing operation. Metal surfaces such as steel soldered panels. This disc will remove scratches left by number 24 and number 36 disc sanding disc. Alright, F. When operating with the sanding machine, how flat is it possible without allowing the drive shaft nut to come into contact with the surface of being ground? Figure 10. Hold the sander so that it is 1.5 to 2.5 inches outer of the disc in contact with the surface being grounded. The sanders must never be tilted only with the edge of the disc. Contact surface failure to observe the will cause the gouges of the deep. The scratches metal with the will be hard to remove. The most sanders form left to right overlapping previous stroke. With each of the new stroke makes a cutting line with a clean, straight, and possible. Move sanders in same manner whether you're removing the paint, rough grinding, or finishing sanding. Figure 10 shows the correct incorrect method of using an electrical sander. Too flat, too tilted, correct. Measurement principles. Damage to the body that enters construction of the frame of the vehicle can be severe, but not be apparent. Failure to check with the correct for such damage can result in poor fitting of the doors, hoods, and fenders, faulty steering control, and many other problems. Possibility with these faults makes number of the measurements necessary throughout the correction. Collision damage. The measurement take generally, but not necessarily made in inches of feet, rather than comparative measurements, and one measurement is compared by means of a body trim, and another shall be equal. Figure 11. Figure 11, comparative measurements, and then vehicle bodies are regarded with having two sides with exactly the same whenever the one side of the damage is compared with the measurement. Take the undamaged side with there's more comparative measurement than the comparing of the damaged panel with similar with the undamaged panel. Occasionally will arise both sides of the vehicle are damaged. It will be impossible to compare one side with the other. Or comparative measurement. A metal picture with the representative of the A and figure 11 with the opposite side of the equal length, therefore diagonals X and Y are equal. If the square is distorted, shown in B of the figure 11 on the previous page, the diagonal is no longer in the same length, Y is no longer than X. If the figure B frame is visualized with the more movable corners, it can be seen whenever the pressure be applied with the make square at the corners of the Y diagonal. The original length of either side of the diagonals need not to be known with the make of the comparative measurement of the diagonal. It will be shown that they were again equal for the frame and again perfect as well as is shown in A. Let's see, if it is possible the diagonals are the same with the distortion exactly with the midpoint of the side, but therefore the comparison of sides A can be straightened until the both sides C or sides A are the same length. The illustration shows the possibility of aligning body frame measuring body frame alone. 12 shows diagonals cubes always equal length. R6, when an entire section of vehicle is knocked out of alignment, another X-checking measurement executed of the body properly considered within the cube is similar manner to determine whether or not the cube is square, checking the diagonals from the opposite corner shown in figure 12 of the previous page. 7. The diagonals cross check should be in one corner of the box to another as they cross each exact center of the cube. Same principles apply with the measuring the cube-like section of the automotive body. The method checking can also be checked for the checking one section while another section. Alright, 7. Your body fender repair techniques. General. Restoring vehicle body panel sheet metal. They are normal contour. They have damage referred to as metal bumping and the dinging. Every job involved with the metal bumping requires fine hand work. To become the guide metal body repairman master. Each phase of the work is required. Collision work uses the hammer in one of the most important functions. B. Analyzing damage. Ultimate success of any collision repair job depends on the accuracy of the analysis of damage, how it can be occurred. Collision work is approached on the basis of a good step further. Not only must they first determine what is wrong, you must establish how to got that way in order to which what happened. Although straightening of the body panel fenders can compromise the greatest volume of the collision work, the collision damage also occurs through the mechanical parts of the vehicle. Repair mechanical parts is an important part of the total repair collision damage. When you are finished repairing vehicle damage from the collision one that has turned over, it must run well, it must be steered well, the brakes must operate properly, allow the electrical units must be operating condition, although the correction of mechanical difficulties caused by the collision involve other skills and techniques that practice for the collision expert that he cannot ignore, must provide their correction. Each part of the damage occurred with a certain order. If it is necessary to correct with a reverse order, the way which the curve studying the damage permits the reconstruction sequence of events which caused the damage, thereby providing proper order in which the damage should be corrected. RC, roughing alignment. Analyze the damage. Next step, step in the body fender repair with metal roughing, which is important in unlocking, unrolling operations done carelessly. Hurried new lines of strain will probably be set up, and stretching, bending of the metal with a sharp angle of the further rearrangement display fibers will be impossible. Before repairing fenders, scrape off any tar, gravel, road dirt with underneath a damaged part. Any dirt left on the other side will cake on the dolly block, and the hammer smooth will be impossible. The outside surface of the damaged fender with the panel is wiped off with a rag, and small amount of the thin motor oil soaked into it. This remove the dust and dirt and grit with the other stick into the hammer face and hander with the work of the securing smooth surface of the light reflected from old surface area extent with the depth of the various bumps. Since metal bumping furniture assemble the material with the hammering should be learned outside of how to use the hammer and dolly. The simple secret would make every blow with the hammer strike metal directly with above the dolly and spoon. Alright, your simple application with the hammer and dolly block is shown figure 13 with the following page. Downstroke with the hammer, drive with a high spot down on the face of the dolly block, smoothing the metal with the dolly block, absorb the shock over the hammer blow that prevents the damaged metal from being driven down too far. The same moment the dolly block bounces away from the undersurface of the damaged metal, but quickly rebounds against the low spot, raising them before the next stroke of the hammer when free, wiping blows over the hammer outside surface with the two handles rapidly smooth the rough spots. Figure 13, user hammer dolly, the shove of the hammer force, the spot to be removed, the damaged metal, the dolly force, the dolly block. Never grip the dolly tightly, apply with a great amount of the pressure on it, because of the important the automatic bounce rebound with the dolly will be lost. Most repair naturally develop the rim of the most 60 to 150 successive hammer blows per minute. As they become skillful in bumping is only a matter of hammering high spots down and bringing them to the low spot until damaged metal is even in the contour. Putting the high metal down first is very important. 7. Figure 14 on the following page illustrates sample damage with maker of the outer door panel, and the arrow indicates the direction of the damage. Force X marks the outer rim of the damage area. Y marks the point of impact of the hub. X and line X and Y represent the cut. At the bottom of one of the V channels, Z marks the flat edge of the panel, which has been sharply panel collapsed. Is also locked. Figure 14, simple damaging X, Y, and Z damaging force. Alright, since ridge X is clearly least creative, the damage is the first strain to be unlocked. Placed with the lone crown dinging spoon on its one shown figure 15 following play. Page the hammer soon sharply directing the blow straightly at the ridge. Unlocks the high metal. Moves it back toward the original position. Next, ding the flange corner Z, unlocking the areas of metal between 0 and Y. Y and Z are now unlocked, ready to spring back in the normal shape with very little help. Give the help of the medium crown duly blocked 2, figure 15, unrolling the wave of the 2-3 blows on the underside of the 0 through Y. Unlike the kink metal at the bottom of the Z channel OY. Repeating the procedure ZY restores the metal to the position shown in 3, figure 15. Figure 16 on page 20 illustrates the area of the rough outing of the same damage without first releasing the lock ridge. In 1, figure 16, cave metal is being roughed out when striking the underside of Y with the dolly. The force of the large area of the dent is nearly normal. The shape of the strain of the ridge at X has not been unlocked. The ridge does not not come down in a normal place. Instead, he pulls the panel down abnormal at an H. This happens because of the lock ridge X will reinforce strength of the metal with either side of it. Therefore, when the forces applied under Y, ridge acts as a fulcrum, pulling the metal down, but the H has a force at Y. So you have your low cram damaged panel hammer, and then O, Y in original shape of the hammer, and then it shows the medium crown dually block, and your result. Alright, now roughing out this has been started without releasing the lock ridge of the metal with a straight stretch to the raise of the original level as indicated with the dotted line, so much force is not required to bring it up to play with the bumps. Knocks whenever the truck by a dolly block is shown figure 2, shown in figure 16 on the following page. Equalizing all these bumps and knots means a lot of work. In 3, figure 16, the dent has been roughed out, hammered, dolly and placed in straight smoothing. 11. In 4, figure 16 on the following page, the dent is restored to a normal shape. Note that, however, this is a new shape. Not only has the time been wasted in unplanned bumping, but the metal has been stretched as shown by the dotted line. So, alright, initial mistake and H, X, Y, and Z. Attempt to correction. Further attempt to correction. Panel stretched. Entire width of the panel instead of the only damaged area that requires metal finishing. Alignment of the squaring with the damaged by with the motor vehicle with the restored with correct shaping and dimension. Misalignment that may be checked with the observation measurement are more accurate. Best measuring method of checking down with the X limit shaping the simply application of the principle of the diagonals with the true and the rectangle equal in length. Some area that must be checked. That's just the door opening cross first front second cross section around the area of the cowl hinge pilers and the center section area between center pilers and not in themselves and square butt. Rectangles may be laid within them, which provide good diagonal tests. Measuring device called a tram, figure 17, is a telescoping tube applied with an extension clamp, which fixes the measurement of the one diagonal in comparison with another. Figure 17 is a tram tube, finish tail, scribe or scribe clamp, tram tube, extension clamp, extension rod, fish tail. Since very most collisions distort the frame as well with the body, the motor vehicle with the frame must be checked with the straight first, divided into 3 rectangles using a corner at front of the rear spring shackles in accordance with figure 18 on the following page. The layout of the tram are diagonal A and B, clamping on the exact length of the diagonal, removing the tram A, checking A and B to see whether the length is the same way to check B and C against B and C and D against C and D. If there are any deviation measurements, do not check the body alignment until the corrected forces have been applied to bring them in the frame into the line. By checking the frame alignment, you have A, B, and C, and A, B, C, and D, and A, B, C, and D, front spring shackles, rear spring shackles, frame side member. Our misalignment, door alignment over the body with generally checked by the fit of the door with the however, and also must be checked with the tram shown with the figure of 19 on the following page. Measured by the taking the marking off of the distance of the X along the center pilaster B and C, distance of Y along with the body so from B to A. The set with the tram with its end with points at A and C and compared with the length of the similar point with the undamaged side on the vehicle with an unsimilar vehicle. The misalignment of the door opening will be indicated with the necessity of resetting the frame tram. If both sides of the vehicle with the damage in layout with the rectangle with respect to the A, B, C, and D was shown on the figure 19 correctly align the door opening of a similar vehicle with a measure for the distance X and Y transpose of these measurements to the door opening of the damaged vehicle. If the diagonals of A, B, C, and B and D are not equal, the door opening is out of alignment. After the door opens for the both sides of the vehicle have been checked with the measure for the front section of the same manner with the measurement of the same points A and D before used together with the points F and E and a corresponding portion of the opposite door opening to form the corners of the rectangular figure 20 on the next page. Diagonals A and E and D and F should be equal. If they do not align, misalignment are corrected before the others. Check if not made of the body. Figure 9 shows the checking the door alignment with the tram A, B, and C and D on the tram, and then it shows the checking point selection section alignment A, B, C, and A, D, E, and F. For the front section, logically divided into 2 rectangles, one above the instrument panel, one below. Each of them should be next to the test separately to determine whether the instrument panel is aligned with the figure 21 time points G and E located with the corresponding top hinge bolted heads of the opposite cowling hinge pilers. Test is now made just before the tram, which of the time should be diagonals E and G from D and H to be equal, and G and F and A and H to be equal. Figure 21 shows checking instrument panel and line adjustment. The center section tested twice. First points I and J. Figure 22 of the following page are located with the opposite door corresponding with the point C and B. Door opening T of the diagonals B and I and C and J must be equal. The points K and L are located with the corresponding locations in the middle of the center piler, such as pressing molding into the body panel. The tram shows B and L, J, K to the equal center line is satisfactory. Checking the center section alignment. The last test must be made with the coach style body and the check over the front section against the center section. For the test, no new points needed to be located. Trams are merely used to compare measurements of A and I and C and F and B and E and against D and J. Alright, to correct collision damage of the motor vehicle with the required the strong force operation in the direction of the impact, powerful portable jack have developed the plate for the crowd bars. Frames down by his back in the shape of the portable hydraulic jack is shown in figure 24, comparable to exerting 10 times the force. It is simply with a hydraulic cylinder connected with a hand pump through the hose that provide with attachment, pushing and pulling, bending, clamping, spreading, and which can be usually singly or in combinations. Show the portable hydraulic jack, pump cylinder release valve, pump handle, hose, rubber head attachment, plunger extension tube, jack cylinder extension arm, rubber head attachment. Before using the jack, size up the job to determine the direction of the damaging force. The frame has to be twisted in line with the first. Remove the body from the necessary. Move steps to using the jack. Make the steps using the ram. The attachments to the apply hydraulic force, reversing the force of the damage impact. To operate the jack, insert the handles in the pump of either beam, either by the horizontal vertically clove of the release valve. Turning it in by hand as far as possible to the right, then downstroke. Handle provide forces only oil through the hose of the ram and cause the plunger to prevent the outward under pressure. To release the pressure, trim the release on the other side of the pump to the left. Alright, hammer finishing. When the fender of the body panel is formed in shape with the DI that can transfer over the sheet metal, later the panel must become the bang with the teeth of the panel with the tend to hold the outer shape with another less stress and then transfer the metal that was formed with the body and then still with the panel. Shred with the creases of the relief of the panel will return to the original shape itself. The sheet is bendable to try to return the original contour into its own accord with determine whether preventing it from returning. Usually it may be found with the sheet that had been formed with the impact with the seas. Crease may exist within the panel, may be found with the crease of the inner construction preventing the panel with the returning original contour. Metal is hammered excessively, it will become the stress. For the reason it is important that each job of this approach with the ideal relieving the strain with the holding the damage area out of the position. Light hammer blows will not displace the metal as much. For the heavy blows, several well-placed light blows are more effective than one or more. Two hard blows, each well-directed blow and exactly right force is an effort toward permitting the metal to and attain its original contour. Each misplaced blow hard with required may create additional damage which must be corrected. Alright, directing hammer. Small pimples may be removed with the direct hammering. Figure 25 to 26 of the following page show that the dolly block is held from the operation as well as the relationship of the hammer to the dolly. Before using the dolly to hammer together, it will be necessary for the clean on the underside of the portion of the fender work well with will be formed by, and some fenders are being covered with sound deadening material undercoat that must be removed prior to dinging. Deadening material may be pads, mats, felt material glued in place, or heavy tar-like black material that has been applied with a semi-fluid tape. The material may have been brushed and sprayed with the panel and later dried. In addition, the underside of the fenders, hoods, and bodies may be undercoated with deadening material. Must be cleaned the metal before working with a hammer and dolly. This shows hammer dolly correctly when hammered directly. Position of the hammer dolly when direct hammering. Alright, in direct hammering, the displaced metal with the pushback with the original contour or by using the dolly and patch with the original contour under the damage, strike with the damage with the hammer. The dolly provided with the support prevent the undamaged area with it being pushed out of place. If the metal is struck squarely over the dolly, metal will have no support. Create damage when later must be corrected. Start using light blows to show that the metal is being struck squarely over the dolly block. The dolly laid with the hand and the grip of the hammer loosely. When the first pimple has been eliminated with the move of the next and one until all have been removed, the two things of each of the hammer blow. Hammer bounds over its own accord, making it ready for this next stroke. The hammer blow over the top of the will drive the dolly block away from the fender. Normal resiliency arm with the bring it back with the striking with the blow with the metal from underneath. The actions out normally only if the hammered a deadly block. Dolly block head loosely. Importance of the spring back with the dolly becomes apparent with the show of the indirect hammering. Alright, indirect hammering. Metal has not been successfully hammered to display for the stretch for the tendency of the return of the original contour of its throw in the cord due to the internal strength of the impart of the part of the deforming dies of the metal is prevented the springing back by other strains imparted by additional bends. Ceasing the metal is restored in normal contour, relieving whatever new stress is held into the out of position. Alright, B. In bumping and digging, this is accomplished relieving the stress with the indirect hammering. Figure 27 of the following page with an illustration of the cross-section damage here with the sharp creases have been formed all around the area. Another sharp crease if it has been formed in low spot with the damage here, but the procedure is employed and the indirect hammering is held to the dolly having correct contour to match the original contour of the metal. Low spot stripe series light blows around the outer crease. Figure 27 position the dolly with an indirect hammering. Our corrective action is followed. A light blow will not display with the surrounding undamaged man, but the force of the blow will transfer the dolly block. In effect, the pipe pushes the bent down and straightens it. The result will receive the hammer blow indirectly. Dolly block is pushed along the low part of the damage. However, the impact of the light push upward on this area that knocked away from the fender. Workman's hand is automatically brings it back into place, imparting the second light blow to the area. Work in progress using light hammer blows around yardage of the damage center of the damage area slowly rises. The original contour is restored. Alright, 3. Your spring hammering. When a crown is formed in the metal, it becomes strong and resists any change of its shape and compared with the arcage of the construction building of the bridge. The strength over the arc and crown of the can may instant may use to support the surface being hammered without using a dolly. This is called spring hammering. Crease and metal points which have been possible to make with a hammer with a dolly block can often be corrected by this method to take with the advantage of the greater amount of the natural support provided with the crown with the metal with the force of the hammer blow provided over the large area within with a spoon. The spoon plate with the lengthwise over the ridge with the cease of the other high spot stuck series of light blows hammer until unwanted stress is relieved. The raised portions back to the original shape and position. Spring hammering using a spoon. In this method of the hammering, no marks are formed on the metal since all the blows are with the spoon rather than on the metal. Check once the metal is back to the original crown. Additional hammering will cause surface to sink below the original contour line. May be brought to back readily. All start with light blows and job nears completion. Inspect the contours after each blow. This will reduce the possibility of sinking hammered surface too low. Picking hammer is one of the most difficult jobs of the master. You will need a lot of practice before you can make competent use of this tool. A pick hammer is used to bring out low spots, particularly with the area that has been badly creased and stretched and have lost their tendency to return to the normal contour. Figure 29 illustrates an example of the pick hammer employed with raised lower spots. As a result of the pick hammer working with the underside of the metal is used to hit the center of the low spots 3/8 of an inch or less in diameter. The pick being sharp stretch of the metal forms a pimple on the surface. At the same time, the pimple is formed of the metal and immediately surrounding it does not displace and stretches it raised. It's obvious that the accuracy of the pick hammer is the utmost important. Alright, metal shrinking. General, when binders are formed and dies under high pressure, sheet metals are stretched and drawn with the compressed. This display for the molecule of the metal with a high pressure for the pressure. Squeezing the metal locks the molecule with a new position. This will resist many subsequent forces with which tries to change the arrangement. Metal has some elasticity of the metal can be bent with a twisted without permanent disarrangement of the molecule with the force applied with the removed elasticity. Metal will cause it to resume its shape within the head when the molecule of the metal were locked together in its dies. The body of the repair must avoid the destroying of the natural tendency of the metal to return to the original shape. This is not only always possible with a collision where the normally smooth surface is badly seized. Creases represent the portion of the metal that has been distorted beyond elastic limit in which the molecules have been displaced but no longer locked together in the summary arrangement is given in the forming of the die. 2. Hot shrinking. Hot shrinking is a simple process that requires careful timing with the proper tools. The tools required that we use in any of the operations by work welding torch equipped with the same size tip used the welding thickness of the sheet metal being worked on. Body hammer to mail it with a shrinking dolly container of the water and a sponge and rag. Or to arrange the tools that were within each easy reach as necessary. Change quickly one tool with another performing shrinking work. Locate the highest point of the stretch section with the panel of which you are working with. Light the torch and heat the spot size of the nickel with the center of the high spot within figure 30 with the following page of the bright red. Use a circular motion, heating the spot, being careful not to burn through the metal. As soon as the spot is bright red, place the striking dolly under the spot and strike several sharp blows with a hammer and mallet. After driving the center spot down, hold down the dolly block and loosely against the underside of the panel, exactly centered under the hot spot. Hammer blow must hit the spot accurately with a sufficient force to push the metal down while it is still hot. After 4 or 5 hammer blows, the heat spot will turn to black. Quench immediately with water rag and sponge. Quenching with water will complete the shrinking operation. Repeat the operation, taking the next highest spot in the stretch section of the panel using a sequence shown in figure 30. Upsetting stretch area for sequence A, hot ridge, and B. Sequencing and shrinking metal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In case of long natural stretch caused by a sharp object rubbing across the surface, start one end of the heat spot with the bright red, 3 inches long from the bottom of the crease of the spot with the bright red. Use the body hammer to relieve the metal above the surface of the panel. Repeat above operational until the entire crease has been raised. The shrink following the procedure explained below or above. When performing shrinking operation, exercise with care to avoid overshrinking of the panel cover the metal to warp the buckle in and out of the stretch area. However, the conditions do arise, heat small spot the air with the panel with the buckling. Apply with a dually block spoon and with enough pressure to hold the buckling section up and allow the metal to cool. Do not use a hammer or water in this instant. Extreme case, it may be necessary to repeat the operation in several different places or warp. G. Aluminum shrinking file with the same general procedure as steel. Careful must be avoided to avoid burning through the metal at the point where the contact flames or because the metal absorbs much more rapidly. Steel does not change color under heat. Care must be taken using water and quenching metal media because there is a chance that metal will crack when cooled too quickly. Just as soon as the metal starts to blister where the flame contacts the metal, the flame must be removed with a hammering done quickly and with a wooden or fiber mallet. Certain rules should be observed at all times during shrinking operations that are: never quench a red hot spot, wait until the metal has turned black. Never heat area greater than where the pressure can be applied one time with an upper hammer or dolly. Never use anything but a acetylene torch for heating on a stretch section. Never attempt to shrink a panel until it has been roughed out. Never apply to heat a low spot, shrinking, hammer it out, and then apply the beat. If stretch part of the surface is small, heat the smaller spot. 7. It is possible to shrink the metal without quenching each spot with water. However, the shrinking operation is much faster if each spot is quenched with water. Less heat spots are required if the heat expansion is drawn out by quenching rather than additional spots. Alright, cold shrinking. The shrinking dolly is formed within two sides of the half low crown radius with the two ends of the being concave. The hammer is due to the offset of the cross beam with the hammer similar with the other hammers, except that one end of the head is shaped to exactly fit the concave contour shrinking dolly. After the weld has been made, sometimes we cover the necessary sinking of the weld. The concave portion of the holly block is placed directly underneath the weld. The blow then struck with the pin side of the hammer, driving the weld down with the valley is formed. The depression is made with the entire length of the weld. The joint later filled with the body, solder, and filler. The two cold shrink panel, placing shrinking dolly under the high spot with the concave B with the or valley previously outlined with the paragraph 7E, 3A, and through C. Move the dolly along slowly in a straight line beneath the high spot, striking outside surfaces with a hammer. Do not make a bead any longer, deeper than necessary. The drum with the stretched metal back in the normal contour. Make it necessary any of the X-shaped bead, X-shaped valleys to be made the same way as a single valley, except for the second one and the right angle of the first one. When shrinking aluminum, it is better to cold shrink instead of hot shrink. The procedure for the cold shrinking aluminum steel are the same. F. Body file. Body file is used for many things: to remove paint, smooth metal, find low spots, remove the excess solder, quickly remove aluminum, to form correct contour areas that have been built. Up with the side of the gauge of the metal, sedan body is as light as practical. Every precaution must be taken to file and grind any metal within necessary. When removing the high spots, grinding and filing care must be taken not to cut through and weaken the part. Using the file is a two-handed job. One hand using the whole of the file handle, the other used to grab the file around the saddle with the opposite of the side. She shows concave and then convex and then flat. File blade is fastened in the holder with the cutting edge of the teeth with a handle, adjusting the contour of the file holder to almost but not quite match with the contour surface. Place the file with the work with a straight stroke with the push of the file away with the holding the angle with the 30 degrees in relation with the line of the travel of the filing. Dig in the putting of the two pressures on it with the end of the first stroke with raising the file with bringing it back to where you started, and the second stroke with remember to raise the file to the end of each stroke, but it should not be pulled back over the metal because of the dragging and will intend to dull the full file blade. By filing it above the manner, the file marks are parallel to move all the paint with the properly with it, and some of the metal from the work with the fill with the filed area. Type of the filing referred to as line filing. The term line filing means all strokes and consequently all of the file marks in the same direction. Note, now change the direction of your file strokes. They are about 45-degree angle with the previous direction. They are referred to as X filing. When the filing is moved on the surface of the X filing, you'll find that the contour of the area differs slightly. If this is true, adjust the file holder again nearly, but not quite, mask the contour, then go over the entire area once slightly. Then you will find that no new file makes cross the original file marks at 45-degree angle. There are two sets of file marks in series of innumerable X's from which the term X filing is derived. X filing and cross filing is necessary to establish, maintain contour of the curves in more one direction, whereas line filing is used on more simple surfaces. When filing is always a good plan to make a few cross-section X strokes occasionally. Make sure that they are not destroying secondary contour in the metal. This is particularly important when the filing areas have been built up solder and other materials. When using body files, epoxy fillers, ensure the fillers are thoroughly cleared and the filing will clog, or the file will clog and gouge the surface. Conclusion: knowledge of the metal bottle repairs described in this subcourse task should provide a strong basis for being able to perform a repair on various vehicles, trucks of the U.S. Army inventory. Most of the repair procedure collisions work involve removal, installation, various body parts, panel, accessories. Some require complete disassembly from before repair and can probably be performed previously without clear understanding of the basic automobile instruction. Assembly very difficult. File correct repair procedures. In the next lesson, you will learn a specific repair procedure for repairing glass, radiators, and fuel tanks. Practice exercise 1. And then it goes on to lesson 1, practice exercise answers. Lesson 2, operations required with the case for glass, radiator, and fuel tank repair.